Hey everyone, it's Cole from Leduc's Own Music Shop here, and today we're going to talk about the advantages of using solid-state amps. Solid-state amps have a fairly bad reputation. This traces back all the way to the 90s when modeling was first introduced, and it sounded really crappy. Fortunately now, in 2023, technology has gotten a lot better, and modeling is getting better and better, so the difference between tubes and solid-state is getting closer and closer. We're going to walk through 3 reasons why solid-state amps can be good for guitarists. Throughout this video, I'll show you some samples from this amp, the Vox Minigo 50. It's a solid-state amp by Vox that has 9 amp models on it and is an option for someone who's looking at getting into guitar or looking for their first decent amp. The first pro of solid state is amp models. When you're starting an instrument like guitar, there's a lot to learn. And one of the important things that you have to learn with guitar is what different amps sound like. The easiest and fastest way to learn this is through using a solid state amp that has models in it. Now, will the models sound 100% like the tube amp? No, they're not going to be 100% because they are not that amps. They're a model of that amp. Will it give you a general idea of how the amps is supposed to sound? Yes. When you're just starting guitar, you don't know the nitty-gritty details that people who have been playing longer do know. So someone who's just starting, having a bunch of amp models and learning how they sound so you can get to the point where you know what you like is more important than the quality not being up to a tube amp. As mentioned, this Vox Mini Go has 9 amp sounds, and it ranges from Fender cleans, Vox style crunch, Marshall overdrives, and then to like Mesa Boogie tones. For someone who's just starting, this will be an exciting amount of amp sounds to try out. On top of amp sounds, modeling amps have effects built into them. This will introduce the player to the world of effects, which is a huge rabbit hole, almost more so than amp sounds. On this amp, you get chorus, phasers, tremolos, you also get delays and reverbs, which is super cool. For someone who's starting guitar, having these options disposable to them will help them a lot. The second pro of using a solid state amps is portability. Now there are a lot of tube amps that are portable, but a lot of them weigh a lot. My Mesa weighs about 45 to 50 pounds. This amp right here weighs 15 pounds. They're super portable. They're great if you want to move it around the house, take it to the cottage, travel around. It's just really nice to have it portable. The third reason why solid state amps are nice is the ability to play them super quietly and have a similar tone to playing it loud. With tube amps, unless you're using an attenuator, which basically brings the output of your amp down super low but drives the tubes just as hard, you won't get it to sound as good as it does when it's cranked, which is where the tube amps really shine. Solid state amps, on the other hand, work really well when quiet. I use this amp for teaching at Leduc School of Music, and I can definitely get the sounds I'm looking for at a very quiet level that doesn't bother the teacher teaching beside me. It's really helpful, and it's nice to be able to have effects and tones sound still quite good at a quiet level. You're not annoying the neighbors. You don't need to invest in an attenuator. It'll sound okay. Now, for my own opinion on solid state amps. Like a lot of modern guitarists, I started learning on a solid state amp. I eventually transitioned to tube amps, and I love tube amps. I've owned quite a few, and I love my Mesa Boogie. But I also own a Kemper, which is a modeling amp, which is a little bit different than the solid state amp, but it sounds great, and I do a ton of recording on there. In fact, most of these videos are shot using a Kemper. I love modeling amps for the technology. It's super exciting to see it get closer and closer to the actual thing. Though I don't think you'll ever be able to truly replicate a tube amp, the feel you get from it. Solid state amps are really, really great options for those who are starting guitar or in the middle of their guitar journey and looking for their sound. Are they for someone who's been playing guitar for 20 or 30 years? Maybe. If you just want to have something fun and have a bunch of effects in your amp, then they'd be really good for it. If you're looking to have a very specific sound with an amp with your own effects, then it's not going to work for you. But for those people who are just getting into guitar and just starting to learn about amps and effects, they're a super helpful tool. My biggest complaint with solid state amps is the feel. There's a very different response with solid state amps to tube amps I've found. Though they're getting better and better and closer, if you play a tube amp and you play a solid state amp, you'll notice the difference. Though the sound's getting a lot closer, to a tube amp, the feel when you're playing is a little bit off. Some solid state amps I find struggle with distorted sounds, and some struggle with clean sounds. But you could also argue some tube amps struggle with clean sounds, and some tube amps struggle with more distorted sounds. There's pros and cons to everything, and I think a lot of discourse on that needs to reflect that. I'd like to hear what you think about solid state amps. Do you love them? Do you hate them? Do you see a point in them? Do you think they should all be burned? Let me know. I want to hear from you. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.